What's up, guys? Dr. Guru here again. In my last video, I talked about iterative method of implementing bubble sort algorithm. In this video, we'll be talking about the recursive method of sorting bubble sort algorithm. So I want you to sit down and watch the video to the end because I will be showing you how to implement this algorithm in Python and the beauty of the algorithm. However, before we dive into the coding aspect of it, I also want you to understand that recursive method is basically a function that calls itself until the condition that is set is no longer visible or correct. That is when it stops calling itself. So let's get to my screen and get the work done. All right, so here we are on my laptop screen. In my last video on bubble sort algorithm, I talked about time complexity, and I said the time complexity of this bubble sort algorithm is big O of n squared, which is the runtime. And I also talk about space complexity, which is big O of 1. This basically means that this is the runtime, and like I said in my initial video about bubble sort, this signifies that bubble sort is actually not the best when it comes to sorting of data, because as the data size increases, the runtime, the time it takes for it to complete its operation, increases as well. And this is actually, the space complexity is actually good. It means that for its operation, it doesn't require extra memory. That is what this is all about. All right, so like I mentioned before we got here, that we'll be using recursive method to actually carry out or implement bubble sort algorithm. That is exactly what we are going to do. And the funny, or let me say the beautiful thing, is that bubble sort algorithm, as far as bubble sort algorithm using recursive method, is somehow simple compared to iterative. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that is what I think. It's very simple and straightforward. We just have to create a function that calls itself over and over as the condition is still true. So basically, that's what it stands for. In as much as the condition is no longer true, the program stop running. So that is what we are going to. So let's start. So we start by creating a function. It's going to take two arguments. The function is going to take two arguments: the list and the size. So I'm going to check if the list is actually sorted. So if sorted equals true, then first of all, check if it is sorted. That is the purpose of this line. So if it is not sorted, I'm going to loop through it as a form. So if okay, quick recap. So what I'm doing basically is comparing the first element of the list with the next element of the list. If the first element is greater than the next element, then I want to make the next element to start first. That is what I'm doing here. This line, I'm actually swapping that value. I'm actually making the second element now as my first. I'm making my initial first element the second element. That is basically what that is basically how bubble sort algorithm works, right? So, but meanwhile, I want to say, okay, if sorted equals false, okay, then I want this function, this recursive function, I want it to call itself. So I will say if sorted equals false, okay, then I want to call the recursive function. Okay, so now if the list is sorted, I don't want anything, I just want the list to be printed. I just want the list to be printed. But if the list is not sorted, I want the recursive function to call itself. So basically this is what recursive function is all about. So recursive function call itself in as much as the condition is still true. Now in this case, if the list is not sorted, that is, if sorted is false, that it is not sorted, then call it yourself. But as soon as the list is sorted, I don't want this function to call itself again. I just want the list to be printed. So basically that is bubble sort algorithm implemented using recursive method. So now let me just include all the necessary parameters. Let me create the list. Then size, because I actually use that variable. So let me assign the length list to it. And then I also need to create the recursive function here. And like I said, it's going to take list and the size. So the next thing is for me to loop. The next thing is for me to loop through the sorted array. So I say for I in range okay, the length list print list. Okay, there is an error here. Okay, so this is basically bubble sort algorithm using recursive method. So let me run this. Okay, we have an error, right? And it says recursive missing two required positional arguments. At which number? Line 12. So let's come to line 12. Okay, this is line 12. Okay, here I didn't put my arguments, which is going to be list and size. let's run it and see. And that's it. Everything is arranged according to their order of magnitude. Arranged according to the order of magnitude. So that is basically a recursive method of bubble sort. So if you like this video, I want you to subscribe and like the video so that the algorithm, YouTube algorithm, can push my video to other people. And I will want you to stick to the channel so that you can learn to implement different algorithms and boost your programming skills, and at the same time help yourself when it comes to facing questions when you go for interviews, because most of these tech company ask questions based on algorithm and data structure. So with this channel, I don't think you will have any problem of any sort in that regard. So thank you. See you in my next video.